Hello, this is Paulo, or my working title is Yogi Paulo. Anyway, I'm going to speak to you today about energy transmission. I'm going through the process and explain it all so that you have a good grasp of the process. Energy transmission, it's a spiritual energy transmission we're talking about, is done in two parts. One is the actual transmission itself of energy from the transmitter, the person that's channeling the energy, to the person that's receiving it. And the person who channels the energy needs to be enlightened or in a high state of consciousness, quite a high state. If the person's the same energy as them, I mean it's not, deeply connected with spirit, then the effect is only a kind of interchange of energies, which does have some benefits for people psychologically when they sit and open with each other, but it's not the same thing as an energy transmission. Here we go. I'll explain now what we do. So when you do this practice, there are two ways of doing it. One is with the person in front of you. So there's you, say, and the other person maybe about 5 feet away, sitting in a chair opposite you. And then all that needs to be done, it's very, very simple, is to focus on the third eye in the middle of the forehead, and they focus on your third eye. And when I say focus, I mean focus. I don't mean concentrate hard. I mean just in a nice, relaxed manner. And as the transmitter, you don't put any effort into the process. All you do is just look at the other person's third eye in a relaxed manner, and the energy will just be transmitted automatically. So you as a person do not do anything. I've never, in all the years I've been doing it, I've never taken any credit at all for what takes place. And people have some quite powerful experiences from time to time. One thing they always feel is very calm after we've done the transmission. So going back, so one way is with another person in front of you. The other way is with a photograph. You do the same process with a photograph as you do with the person in front of you. And now we'll actually go through what we actually do. So we're both sitting in the chairs, say, we'll take the first example, and you look at their third eye and then they look at yours. You do it for about 5 or 6 minutes. Best to set a timer, which is not loud, or under a cushion or something, so it's quiet, and you just sit for the 5-6 minutes just looking at each other like this. That kind of way. Nice and relaxed and easy. You're not doing anything. All you're doing is looking and focusing on the third eye. And there'll be a transmission of energy through you to that other person. And you do that for 5 minutes. As I say, 5-6 minutes. The timer will go. Well, switch that off. Then we go through a consciousness recognition exercise. What is a consciousness recognition exercise? It's basically you go through reality from the relative to the absolute, and you get them to sort of connect, identify, or recognize that these are all parts of their being. So what you would do in practical terms is after you've done the transmission, they close their eyes and they sit quietly with their eyes closed, and the first thing to do is to get them to become aware of the room. Use the mind to become aware of the room, and then just feel it. It's not to keep thinking about it, just become aware that they're in a room and just to actually feel it, so they actually feel the sense that they're actually in a room with a ceiling, with a floor, walls, etc. And the next stage, the second one, is to actually become aware of their body. Their feet touching the ground, their back against the chair, maybe become aware of their breathing, so that they actually become more body conscious. So it's sort of moving in stages here. And on each of these, you spend about a minute on each of these different parts that we're talking about. So the room, next is the body, and just becoming aware. If they like, they can relatively quickly scan the body, so they can actually feel all the body from their feet up to their head. And then that's finished. You're sort of acknowledging, feeling, realizing you're actually incarnated. But at the moment we're dealing with the relative aspect of things, not the absolute. We'll go into that in a minute. So the next thing to do is to bring the attention to the solar plexus and ask them, see how they feel. Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel neutral? And there will be some kind of emotion usually. And the thing is, we're not trying to change anything. All we're doing is becoming aware of what is actually present at that point in time. Right, so again, another minute on that, and next you take it up to the heart center. And in the heart center, when people talk about who they are, they usually, if you ask them, who do you think you are, they say, you know, I'm this guy. They point to the area of the heart. They don't point up to the head. So I see this as the sort of central point of us as human beings, is from here. It's what makes us human, is our hearts. It's not our heads, it's our hearts. So get them to feel that this is the core of their humanness, their actual human incarnation. And so you just bring their attention there and feel that kind of sense of themselves as a human being, the core of them, of themselves in the heart center, which is located here and related to the thymus gland in the upper chest area. Next stage, we're going to make a shift now, because what we've been dealing with up to now is the relative aspects of our being. The next one is to go into the consciousness itself, pure consciousness, the thing that transcends and creates all form. So for that, I have found the best thing to do is to take your attention to the back of the head. This is what the person does, to the back of the head, and feel a kind of infinite space at the back opening out, going into every direction. That's the only way I can explain it. Words really don't come too close to the actual reality. But if you bring your attention there and then just feel out and become aware of what is present, what is aware, what is something already there, aware of everything else, the thing that's aware itself, and get them to feel that awareness. So far so good, I hope. Again, we do that for a minute, maybe if you like a couple of minutes, because it's quite important, and then we go on to the next stage. The next stage is that they imagine and feel themselves, get themselves to feel rather, that they are their body, their feelings, emotions, their heart and consciousness all together at one time. That's the whole of them. all. It's like spirit incarnated into a body. So we get them to feel that. Again, do that for a minute or so, a minute and a half, something like that. And then the last stage is get them to let go of all of it. So there's nothing. They're not trying to feel anything, be aware of anything, or do anything. And let them sit quietly for a couple of minutes. And when they're ready, ask them to then gently open their eyes and return back to the room. And that's it. That's how you do an energy transmission. And they will notice their energy is different. They notice probably that they're more aware, feel more peaceful, and that this is a good thing. This is a supporting practice. Obviously, the light and sound is our main fundamental vehicle to become enlightened. This I see as an addition which can help, like doing yoga, like doing pranayama, or any of those kind of things. This to me is a help. They'll notice the meditations will probably be deeper. The amount of times you do this, or I recommend, is once a week. So the whole thing is about 10-12 minutes, and you just do it once a week. And people should notice some shifts and changes in themselves as you practice this with them. Sometimes when we do the practice, people start seeing visions around you. If you're doing the transmission, they start to see things like other faces and people and beings. And I wouldn't take too much notice of that. I just say this is a normal phenomenon that happens. I don't really know why. It could be because it's to do with past lives and things, or it could be stuff from their own subconscious being released through the process, and they start to see these kind of images. But the emphasis is on how they feel, not on what they see. So that's the thing to go back to. Now you can also do this with a photograph, exactly the same way, except you have the photograph of the person in your hand, and the other person has a photograph of you, and you do it with a telephone conversation. For about 12 minutes, and you go through the same thing as we just have done if you were doing a one-to-one. That's about it. That's spiritual energy transmission, and I hope that all the people that you teach it, practice it with, feel the benefits that I have done. I used to practice this in the around 2000 to 2004 for several years, and it really helped me a lot, and it gave me my first deep opening to a higher consciousness, I would say, definitely, and I think it can help people. That's it. I've got nothing more to say other than if you have any questions or anything, get in touch with me and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.